Hello everyone. Today we're going to unlock the secret of gerund phrases. Let's break it down using our anchor definition. A gerund is simply a noun made from a verb, root plus ing, acting like a present participle. A gerund phrase consists of that gerund along with any modifiers or objects associated with it. Most importantly, remember this golden rule. The whole gerund phrase functions in a sentence just like a noun, okay? How do gerund phrases work in action? First, they can act as a subject. Look at the example. Keeping a daily journal improves your focus. Ask yourself, what improves your focus? Keeping a daily journal does. Because it tells us what the sentence is about and sits right at the front before the verb, the entire phrase is doing the job of a noun subject. Next, gerund phrase can act as a direct object. Let's check out this sentence. I enjoy swimming in the open ocean. Here, the verb is enjoy. What do I enjoy? I enjoy swimming in the open ocean. The gerund phrase receives the action of the verb, making it a direct object. And finally, a gerund phrase can act as a predicate nominative. This happens after a linking verb, like is, to rename or explain the subject. Okay, look at this sentence. Her favorite hobby is collecting rare seashells. Notice how the phrase collecting rare seashells follows the linking verb is and renames what her favorite hobby is. Now here you can see some other examples. Let's take a look at them. First, let's look at a gerund acting as a subject. Consider this sentence. Traveling is a good way to expand your worldview. In this example, traveling is the subject of the first sentence. Second, a gerund can be a predicate nominative. Look at the sentence. My passion is reading. In the second sentence, this sentence, reading is a predicate nominative. It's a word or group of words that completes a linking verb and renames the subject. The verb is a form of the linking verb to be. It is followed by reading, which renames the subject my passion. And third, a gerund can serve as a direct object. Look at our final sentence. My doctor suggests running to improve my health. In the third sentence, the gerund running is acting as the object of the verb suggests. So remember, in all three of these examples, words ending with ing are acting as nouns. Whether they are subjects, predicate nominatives, or direct objects, gerunds give verb roots noun power. Now, gerund phrases perform the same functions as nouns do. First, they can act like the subject of a verb. Look at our first box. Her watering the planets every day is not necessary. Here, the whole gerund phrase acts as the subject of the sentence. Look at the second box. Her mother appreciates her watering the plants every day. The phrase receives the action of the verb appreciates. Look at the third box. Her mother insists on her watering the plants every day. Here, the phrase acts as the prepositional object following on. Look at box 4. By watering the plants every day, she is pleasing her mother. The phrase operates within an adverbial construction to show means. In box 5, balanced like a scale, it says what her mother insists on is her watering the plants every day. The phrase completes the linking verb and renames the subject. And finally, in box 6, her mother insists on one thing, her watering the plants every day. The phrase renames or clarifies the noun thing. Gerunds are participial forms used in noun function. Keep in mind that all forms of the participle may be used except the past participle. Also, like the participle, a gerund may be made negative simply by placing not before it, such as not offering. First, we have the general timeless forms, which split into two types, present participle and passive progressive. Present participle, this is your basic active form, like offering. Passive progressive, this is the passive structure, shown as being offered, for example. Next, we look at the perfect forms, which deal with past time. These are divided into active and passive. Active, this category includes both standard and progressive active forms, especially having offered, labeled A, and having been offering, labeled B. This represents the passive one. It represents the passive form, which is having been offered, for example. To understand how this works, subjects in gerund phrases, let's look at how a full sentence transforms into a gerund phrase. Take the original sentence, the hunter shot the birds. Here, the hunter is the original subject. When we turn it into a gerund phrase, it becomes the hunter's shooting of the birds. Notice how the original subject turns into a possessive subject, the hunters, and the original object becomes an of phrase, of the birds. Sometimes a gerund phrase doesn't include an explicit subject at all. This happens in three main ways. General context, when it applies to anyone or people in general. For example, playing with guns is dangerous. Understood from context. Next one is, for instance, he suggested eating dinner at the airport. And next one is provided elsewhere in sentence. Look at this sentence. On seeing the damage he had done, the child felt ashamed. Here, the agent or subject of the gerund seeing isn't right next to it. Yes. Instead, it is provided elsewhere as child from the main clause. Next, a subject can be included in an inflected possessive form, possessive noun or pronoun. Using a possessive form like the girl resents her sister's getting more attention. Informal usage for this, you can keep in mind that in casual or informal speech, an object form is sometimes permitted, okay? As in, we can't understand them doing a thing like that. Alternatively, the subject can be expressed using an of phrase, mostly with intransitive verbs. We use the possessive apostrophe s mostly if it's a pronoun. They're shouting, for example. But we use the of phrase if the subject is long. Think, idea, unchanged, noun preferred. When dealing with things or ideas rather than living beings, an unchanged noun is preferred. For example, instead of her health improving after the operation, it got worse. Okay? Here we have the plus gerund plus a phrase object. Look at how the placement of the verb the changes the phrasing. With the, when the precedes the gerund, the object is contained within an of phrase. For example, the storing of the merchandise became a problem. Without the, if the precedes an object within an of phrase, instead it shifts to. For example, storing the merchandise became a problem. Next, look at a strong noun force. Usually, the phrase beginning with the possesses a strong nominal quality, like the careful reviewing of the contract versus careful reviewing of the contract. However, when should you avoid the? In some cases, the choice with the of phrase object is avoided entirely for brevity or natural flow. For instance, we say taking drugs is detrimental to the health, whereas the taking of drugs or though taking of drugs is not used. Let's review two practice examples from our chart. The first example, the school administration is opposed to shorten school years. We can write the school administration is opposed to the shortening of the school year, or alternatively, the school administration is opposed to shortening the school year. And look at the other example from bribe officials is a very serious offense. It becomes the bribing of officials is a very serious offense, or alternatively, bribing of officials is a very serious offense. At our top bank of verbs, certain verbs such as acknowledge, admit, advise, avoid, consider, enjoy, finish, keep on, mind, postpone, recommend, resent, and suggest are specifically followed by gerund phrase object. Next, let's compare how timing changes the form. Present gerund, simultaneous time. The action happens at the same time as the main verb. For example, I enjoy read. It becomes I enjoy reading, and she finished clean becomes she finished cleaning. Perfect gerund or preceding time. The action happens before the main verb. This is often used to emphasize time that precedes that of the main verb. For instance, he admits steal becomes he admits having stolen, and she regrets not to study becomes she regrets not having studied. Let's look at two practice exercises. The first one, from I enjoy playing piano, it transforms into I enjoy playing the piano, where I acts as the understood subject of the gerund. And next example is a perfect gerund option. From the suspect denied commit crime, we can write the suspect denied committing the crime, or alternatively use the perfect gerund form.